this phone for a second? I'll write two things down.
So you might have to announce that if they haven't filled out a speaker card and they need to.
Shut your mic off. Does anybody else need a speaker card that's here to speak? For the PNC meeting?
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City of Haslet's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, July 29th. The time is 6:45 p.m. And we do have a quorum present. And I understand there's a number of citizen participation cards. Is that correct? Do any of them relate to agenda item 6A?
Yes, I have 3 more that relate to agenda item 6A.
Okay.
Make that 4.
All right. So because we are not required to have a public hearing for agenda item 6A, I would like to listen to any of those citizens. They're welcome to make comments at the beginning of our meeting. During that period, I'm not going to open up a public hearing, but we do have a period of time here at the beginning of the meeting for citizen participation and comments. And so could you call those individuals forward that have submitted a request? The others we will entertain during the agenda item 6B, which we do have a public hearing for.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Jean Doss?
Yes, I did.
Is that person present?
And when you do come to speak, if you could state your name and your address for us, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for allowing me to speak. G. Doss, 1482 Silver Sage Drive in the Caraway subdivision in Haslett. And again, thank you for letting me speak on this topic. I have several questions. And one, why would a developer want to be annexed before they start the project? Why would they want us to be subject to your permits, city inspections, avoid their property taxes, or pay property taxes, their fees, a PID that I have to pay? Why would they do that? What would their motivation possibly be? And how can the impact be on the city? In the financial summary, say none. If they're going to pay property, if they're going to pay their fair share of taxes, it should be a big positive number. But there's no number in there. So my guess is they're working on their tax. I did this for 40 years. I was a property tax professional for 40 years and a manager for 30 years for Fortune 500 companies. I know this game. They're negotiating their property tax and their sales tax agreements because they want them before you annex, because if they build and then you annex, they have no control. they'll have to pay the full property tax ride, which I do, and my neighbors do, and the families that live in my neighborhood do. They pay all the ride. What are the agreements? What are they? Are they in negotiation? Are they promised? Are they guaranteed? Are they meeting with you guys individually so they avoid Open Meetings Act? These are big-time questions that should be transparent. I mean, we pay the taxes, and if they don't, then we have to pay their burden. And that's totally unfair to us. And why in the world would I want, or anyone want, you wouldn't want, trucks running adjacent to your neighborhood, through or blocking the entrance? We only have 2 entrances and exits in our subdivision for no consideration at all. I just would like some answers. Maybe they have some. And if the answer is, well, they want certainty. They want to make sure they've got, well, certainty is what? That they don't have to pay that they're going to pay taxes up front? That's not going to be. The certainty is they won't have to pay taxes. I'm sure there may be some agreements where it's like a step down. It may be a 5-year or a 10-year step down, 10, 20% at a time. But I have to pay a PID. I don't really pay my property taxes. I pay a PID that doubles my property taxes. Are they going to pay a PID? I just think it's totally unfair to put this on the burden of the residents that already live here so we can stick another warehouse in our neighborhood. There's one on the north side. Now we're going to stick another one on the south side, and they're all going to run up and down Harmon Road. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harmon Road. I mean, people are running off.
I am going to ask that you wrap up. We do have
You got my point.
We are all residents of the same city, and I'm only going to respond to one thing.
But they're not putting in your horse ranches. They're putting it in my neighborhood.
I will respond to one. I will respond to one thing. We don't answer questions during this period of time, but I am going to respond to one thing.
I wasn't
This
expecting an
commission.
answer. I just wanted the question to be in your mind.
This is my time to talk. This commission acts with a complete integrity. We serve the citizens of this community. We are citizens of this community. We don't talk to developers, and we don't interact in discussions that are inappropriate, and we never violate the Opens Meeting Act.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker.
At lunch.
Next
and then
speaker,
you're not
please.
violating it.
Yeah. Again, if you could state your name and your address, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Good evening, Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm Laura Schlotteroff, and I live at 1195 Wild Center Way. Let me give you some background on me and where I'm coming from. I bought my house in Caraway in January 2021. The builder told us that a town center would be built north of Caraway, and the developer Terramana still promoted this on their website. This was a major reason we decided to build. We moved in December 21 and found out later that the land was rezoned in 2019 to be industrial. I was crushed to find out that the wheels were already in motion and there was nothing to be done to stop the warehouse. So I decided to become more informed on the planning in Hazlet. I accepted an appointment to the Hazlet Community and Economic Development Corporation Type B. Fast forward to this past Sunday. I found out that another warehouse would be going up adjacent to Caraway. Not again. I do not want to live in the middle of warehouses. My home in Caraway was supposed to be my forever home. And now I'm seriously considering moving before my home value goes down. To bring attention to this topic, I have emailed Tri-County Electric, the NISD Board of Directors, and the Superintendent, NISD Facilities and Planning, our HOA board, residents, and shared on social media. I will let others speak to the traffic, poor roads, and potential impacts to the elementary school that is supposed to be built to the north of the plat we are hearing about today. I'm puzzled as to why Type B Corporation wasn't made aware of the potential of this sale, annexation, and zoning of land, even though it's part of the ETJ and not Hazlet proper. Was the Type A board involved or given the opportunity to work on this? For the public's knowledge, Type A uses sales tax for manufacturing and industrial development. Type B sales tax may be used for projects eligible under Type A, plus quality of life improvement projects. I would like to request that type A and B be invited to the table to propose that the land be used for commercial use. That is what the residents of Hazlet want and will probably be in favor of. We want a grocery store. We want more restaurants and retail closer to Hazlet so that we don't have to drive to Alliance. We would spend more money inside Hazlet if these opportunities came within our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our next speaker?
Michael Winslow.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Michael Winslow. I live at 1428 Silver Sage Drive. Just really want to echo the sentiments that have been brought up today, particularly with Laura. We bought our house in January of 21. Again, the developer, the builder, made promises of commercial retail, town center, really amenities that would draw people into Hazlet. That's why we bought and settled here. Come to find out, warehouses are now going in to the north of us, and then now the proposed warehouse to the south of us. I think the city would do itself a favor if it really took a look at the 3 large developments, residential developments that are getting put in there. That includes Caraway, Sweetgrass, as well as Watercress, and really just try to understand that the people here, we want grocery stores, we want amenities, we don't want to be socked in by warehouses. A lot of people have their savings and life savings invested in these homes, and the value is going to plummet having these trucks come through Harmon and be socked in by warehouses. So just asking the council to really take into consideration the residents of the neighborhoods in this area and see about possibly developing some commercial retail for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate that. And our next speaker?
Karen Fenton.
Hi, Karen Fenton, 1523 Silver Sage in Caraway. We don't want this. How many times do we say we don't want this? And here we come again, and here we come again. We don't want this. I don't know what else to say other than to repeat what they've already said. We don't want this. We want business. We want shopping. We want a place where we can take our kids. There's nothing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have one online, Kitty Works.
Kittyworth? And are they able to hear us?
We've just unmuted her.
And what was her name again, please?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, and you're all welcome to offer comments regarding.
Yes, I'm Kitty Wirtz. Okay, thank you. And thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Kitty Wirtz. I live at 205 Thistle Drive in Hazlet. And ladies and gentlemen of the P&Z Board, is this the best we can do for the prime property that fronts I-35, but to recommend another warehouse, an entity that will only generate ad valorem tax from now to forever on the 58 acres, and only 4.68 acres would be commercial? What tax, if any, will this generate in Hazlet? Not a very large number, I'm sure. I think the answer needs to be considered before any major decision is made, because this is a forever decision. Is it possible to meet with the developer and have them reconsider this land for retail use? Certainly that's what the citizens of Hazlet would want. That would better benefit Hazlet. What will happen if this vote fails tonight? Can other discussions be arranged to convince them to look at other options? This is a very important issue for Hazlet, and most of the leaders of the city only learned of this a couple of days ago when it appeared on your agenda. This is not the right way to do business and should not have been handled this way. Again, I ask the question, how many folks want a warehouse? It does not benefit Hazlet the way the citizens would like. Until these questions can be answered, I would ask this agenda item to be denied and further discussions set up for better land use with the developer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate your input. Anybody else online? Was there anybody else online that wanted to be recognized?
There is one other comment in the chat. Let me ask her. if she-
Okay.
Hello, this is Stephanie Carey.
Hello, Ms. Carey. You're welcome to make comments. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
And you would like to speak?
Yes, sir. Stephanie Carey, 1192 Wildson Way, Haslett, Texas. I just wanted to voice my concerns regarding the building or the rezoning, and that I'm concerned that Northwest ISD has voiced wanting to build schools near that property, and I'm concerned that having increased buildings there will cause them to withdraw building schools near there, and I'm concerned about the safety. I also recall them discussing putting a roundabout in that area, and I don't foresee that being feasible if there is another warehouse. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And is there anyone else waiting to speak? Okay.
Okay, we have one more speaker card. Mr. Singh?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm a resident of Caraways, 1681 Chicory Court. This is, you can call my dream home. I built it very detailed, everything for my kids, for my neighbors, for my surrounding. And I used to live in Keller. And when I built this house, I download the plan from the city website, what's we gonna have surroundings. Nothing will show that we will be surrounded by the warehouses. Now, everything is changing, rezoned, we're getting in the warehouses. Down the road, if my kids, and we decided to sell the home, would anybody buy a house next to a warehouse? No, I don't wanna go live there next to warehouses. Please consider the safety of kids. We have school coming in. We have young kids, young families. We want to attract them, not distract them with the warehouses. Warehouse is going to bring a lot of traffic, not just the car traffic, but the semis, big trucks. We don't know what kind of people they are, where they're coming from. We want the safety of our surroundings, our kids, our fellow neighbors. Please consider this. And if you would make restaurants, small shopping centers, we welcome them. That's good. But warehouses, I hardly say no.
Okay. Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else?
I don't have anyone.
Okay, and there were 6 emails submitted to the city. They were all against. They came from the Pino family, Carey family, Ender family, Fenton family, Keene family, Tuttle, and Hagan family. So those were all submitted as the record, and we have copies of those, and all of those, again, were speaking against agenda item 6A. Okay, moving on, we have a couple of items, or a few items of community interest. Let's see, there's a city council budget workshop that's going to take place on Saturday, August 2nd. That's going to be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and welcome to attend and be a part of that. You also can find a special city council meeting that's going to be taking place on Monday, August 11th, and the agenda for that is posted on the city website. And there's the Metroport Chamber of Commerce Luncheon, and that's going to be held on Wednesday, August 11th at the Texas Motor Speedway, and that's going to be from 11 to 1 p.m. Next agenda item we have is our consent agenda, which includes the approval or review of our meeting minutes from our last regular meeting, which was on June 24th, 2025. Is there any discussion or amendments to our minutes? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay, the motion to accept is written. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been seconded. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. And then also included in our packet is the status of current development projects. All the exhibits are there for your review. So if you have any questions on that, you're welcome to follow up with the city staff and our engineers to get additional information, but we won't discuss that this evening. So moving on, agenda item 6A, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the Hicks Harmon addition preliminary plat. We're going to begin with our staff presentation. And I would ask, could we also, for the benefit of the residents, I think it's important that they understand the process by which, how things occur in the ETJ, what controls or lack of controls we have, how the legislation in the state of Texas, limits what cities can do. I think it's really important that we have a well-educated community.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman and members of the commission. I'm going to just introduce the project, then I'm going to go through some of the processes.
Okay, thank you.
And
this is where you're going to really listen to what he's saying, because you'll hear about what controls and what things we can't control as a city with things that are in the ETJ. So we need to make sure they understand what ETJ means as well.
Yeah, ETJ is a short acronym for extraterritorial jurisdiction. Every city has this aura around it. The smaller the city, the smaller the aura. And if you're a city of less than 5,000 people, you have an aura of a half mile. If you're larger than 5,000, you have one that's a mile. And you can extend several things out there. The main thing you can extend is your subdivision rules and regulation. How land is divided and how land is basically developed as far as the infrastructure, the roads, etc. What it does not do, it does not give you any authority to control any land use. In other words, property that's in the extraterritorial jurisdiction, the ETJ, can develop in whatever form or fashion they want to. The city has absolutely zero control of that. The only control, land use that we have is how the property actually develops. And that's the case with this particular development. We've actually met many times with the developer as the city staff talking about their project, and they said, okay, we want to cooperate with the city. We want to do some things on the perimeter roads, especially how Harmon comes down, and there's a jog in it right now, and they're willing to make the improvements to make that a smooth transition. And they're doing that without putting any trucks on that. They have committed to putting all their trucks out towards 35. In other words, they will not be going up with trucks up and down Harmon Road. They'll be all directed out towards 35. And they're in the audience tonight too, and I'm hopefully during this conversation they'll be able to come forward and speak to that. One of the things I know is of interest is Keller Hicks Road on the south side, which the center line of the road, the south half of that road is in Fort Worth. The north half is in the Hazlitt's extraterritorial jurisdiction, the ETJ, and so it makes it very difficult. However, on their plat, they're showing a right-of-way dedication of approximately 40 feet, from the center line for any future improvements that might be made. But normally those kind of things are joint projects between a county and the Fort Worth and Hazlitt, and it's something that's difficult to address when you're in the preliminary plat stages. And that's pretty much the crux of it. This is, we have no control of it. In fact, the state legislature in the local government code, section 212.05 says that this commission must approve the plat if it meets our subdivision regulations. In other words, there's no choice. It's basically an administrative type situation. If this was a zoning case, that's completely different. This board would have the ability to have some say over what went there, whether it's restaurant clusters or a shopping center or a Home Depot, but we do not. We have no control over the land use. Now, the great thing about this, in my opinion, at these individuals, the developers, are willing to annex into the city. In other words, they're willing to come into the city and pay the ad valorem tax down the road after they get going on this project. And so that's actually a benefit, to the city. They're not in any public improvement district. They're not paying any PID fees. And that's something that's strictly for Caraway, for the developer put together to pay back his costs for the roads and water and sewer lines that he had to put in for that development. The developer, in this instance, will be extending water lines and sewer lines that are generally in the area and not at his own cost, and there will be no PID. Having said that, if you have any questions of me, I'll be more than happy to answer them. If not, the applicant is in the audience tonight.
Excellent overview, Mr. Swanky. Thank you for the education also. And is the developer present? And would you like to speak? Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. All right. We'll begin, move to discussion, consideration, and act. So I just have a couple of questions. There is a preliminary annexation agreement being developed, is that correct?
It's being worked on, yes.
Okay, and is there a development agreement beyond that, a separate development agreement?
No,
So there's a pre-annexation agreement,
just pre-annexation agreement.
but not a development agreement at
That
this
is
point?
correct.
Okay, will there be a development agreement created?
There could be.
Most likely?
More than likely, there's a CFA, Community Facilities Agreement, that'll be put together.
Okay. And do you have any sense of timing of when we're going to move to site plan? This is preliminary plat tonight. Do you have any sense of timing?
I do not.
Okay.
A lot of times these plats will come in, quite a lengthy time before, but, preliminary plats, they do expire after about 2 years. So I would anticipate something happening before that time frame.
Yeah. And you reflected in your comments that the proposed use for the site was going to have all truck traffic on the access road to 35. I believe is that what you said, correct?
They would like to have all their traffic, they'll all go out towards 35 and not.
Toward 35, okay. So on one of the exhibits, it's not the preliminary plat exhibit, but one of the renderings of what the site might look like when it's fully developed, showed or reflected 2 access points onto Keller Hicks Road, which would just absolutely make life miserable trying to get out of the city of Haslett. Because it's one of 3 choke points. You got Westport Parkway, you have the new Parkway, and then you Keller Hicks. And all 3 of them are going to be just congested with trucks. So when we think about our annexation agreement and we think about discussions we should be having with the developer, can we have some discussion about maybe getting rid of those access points onto Keller Hicks and making all of the drives accessible, truck traffic drives, accessible only from the access road?
Yeah, I would actually like to have the developer respond to that, but I would actually say probably not. And the reason why, it's going to come from fire department, is when you have a building such as this, you want to have access from 2 different thoroughfares. And so there's going to need to be some kind of access from Keller Hicks.
Egress or ingress point makes sense, but it could be gated and controlled so that it's not used for daily traffic. You got to have some way for the fire department getting, got it. But, can we restrict it for emergency services use only? And I don't know, and I'm not requiring the developer to even speak about it, but I'm asking more from a city administrative process. And we
can talk to him about that.
Okay. I think that would be a very important thing to include. Okay, that was the questions I had. Any other questions? And going back to what you had said about the process for approval of this, we have 30 days to act on this. If we don't, it's automatically approved. Yeah.
That's correct. If this body would table it, then it's going to be approved automatically. So you really don't want to do that.
Right.
And like I mentioned earlier, under the local government code, it says you must act on it and approve it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So understanding what you said, basically, they're going to get this one way or another.
you know, technically, if they wanted to, they could have withdrawn from the Hazlet extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Right, we've had that.
And you would never see them here.
Right.
But I think this is actually good for the city because, you know, if it's built, they'll add to our tax base.
It does that. It's not
And then
necessarily
it's-
good
and then
for
it's
these
subject to
people.
all our
That's right.
landscaping plans and our lighting
Yes.
plans and our,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
all those things, which really, you know, it creates a lot more opportunity for us to apply our standards for development on this property.
That's
It's gonna come one way or the other if they want to do it.
That's-
But this way,
That's the
we
question.
get to, you know, have some application of our standards.
Yes, I would say it's coming whether we want it or not. And I would rather have a chance to work with them and to help guide them.
So my interest was,
Right, that one there, right.
that's the one that I think will make life miserable. These pedestrian drives over here, I work for DHL. We have millions and millions of square feet of industrial space. We would never put an employee parking area, so I don't believe that they would run trucks through there.
No.
Just- But that's what I'm concerned about. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
So one of their concerns is going to be, how many employees are actually going to be in this, coming to this building? Do we know yet?
We don't know. I don't even think the owner knows.
It's probably a spec building. They're just building it and hoping
Just
somebody
so,
comes.
okay, so we don't know if it's
and
going to be this enormous amount of additional cars as well as trucks. We don't know that. Okay.
And sometimes those things change. We've got one building here in town that has a bunch of truck parking because when it was done, they had about 50 vehicle trips per day that they anticipated. Now they may get 700 or 800 employees and very few trucks. And so things do change. It depends on what type of clientele ends up being in the building.
James, could you go back to the site plan picture, the one that precedes this? Yeah. So, we're not approving, this isn't what we're approving tonight.
No.
Okay, this is just a conceptual layout of how the land would be developed or used, or, you know, how things might be oriented on the property. What we're reviewing and approving, if you go back 2 slides,
It's a plat.
it is a plat showing the
Preliminary.
boundaries of the property, you know, and how that's going to be situated in the city of Haslett.
The preliminary plat, yeah, the boundaries. So there's no,
It's basically just defining that the site, the boundaries of the site, and the essential services that are going to come to it, that are going to be brought into it.
Hey, James, can you pull up the site, the plat itself? I believe that's the one he wants to see. Nope, that's the next
Yeah,
case.
that's the next one.
One right there.
that one,
That's
that one,
what's,
that one
that's
right
the
there,
one.
the plat, yeah.
So you can see, that's the fireworks house right here. And that's right in here, that is where all that is. There's a couple of residential properties further up there.
and right across the street, there's a triangle, which is the water site.
Yes. Water tower's over here.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
And then 30
that's our water.
This is 35, and this is Keller Hicks, and this goes under the highway right there.
And you can see on that drawing, there's right-of-way being dedicated, proposed to be dedicated right there, yes.
37 feet of right of way. So if again, if there's not improvements to this road, it becomes very difficult for our citizens to get out of the community. And every time a truck turns on or off of this, they're either gonna have to swing wide coming in or swing wide going out, and disrupting traffic both
Well,
directions.
and tear up the road.
Yeah, and I don't,
Get- tear
so
that
when we
road.
get to site plan, then we're gonna be, that's a future step at some point when the developer decides to go to the next step, then we're gonna be looking at things like that.
That's correct.
Okay,
But I think the important thing is what Greg was saying, and what you were saying. Basically, we can't turn this down,
That's correct.
and if we did, They could just, like you said, but we've had that before, where somebody just says, I want out of the ETJ, I'm gonna do what I
You know,
want.
If we deny it, it automatically gets approved.
If we
Because
denied it, it-
administratively, they've satisfied the requirements of the
Yeah,
city by,
that's what
with
I'm
their
saying.
application.
So this puts us, yeah, in a nice bind.
Yep.
And we all live in the city too. So, I mean, I don't live near that, but I sure go drive by that area every day.
Yeah. And the reason why we actually ask them to show a concept plan, we always ask them to give us their worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Because that's how you plan for the water and the sewer that you might need.
Right.
And so they have done that.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions that need to be answered? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Chairman, I'd like to add one more thing. In the discussions, the developers never, ever talk to any of us, the commissioners here. No. It's all been with staff.
That's right. We have no interaction with anybody before this meeting occurs.
And we wouldn't do that.
But, you know, there was some comments about, you know, why can't we just get a grocery store to go there? Or why can't we just get, you know, retail to go there? It's who has money and who has enough interest or confidence that they're going to get the return on the business. We don't get to control who, we don't build grocery stores. We don't build retail outlets. These are developers who are trying to get a return on their investments. These are people who have acquired land who are looking to get a return on their investment. That's outside of the control of the city. And I know people get very passionate about it. Some people don't want to see those horses go away, you know, whatever their motivation, right? But the city of Haslett does not have the control to tell people to come spend your money and develop this particular business in our town. That's just not what we do. Now, what we do have the opportunity to do is inside the city limits of Haslett, there's land use and there's zoning to make sure there's continuity and compatibility of uses within the land structure inside the city. And so if somebody wants to come in and build a shooting gallery, outdoor shooting gallery, you know, right off of 156, well, that's not really a compatible use. And there's no provision to do something crazy like that. And that's what our land use and zoning helps control. So,
Yeah, that's, I mean, just trying to, I guess, help you folks that live out there in Caraway understand that concept. Some things we have control over, some things we don't. Some things we have more control over and maybe minimal control over.
Yeah.
So we try to, I guess, try to use whatever authority we do have for the betterment of the city and developing. And I agree. I mean, something like this is hard to swallow, but it's outside of our authority.
You know, Ms. Snedeker and I are longtime residents of the city of Haslett, and we moved here for the same reasons we heard other people talk about.
Sure. Well, we have people that live in Caraway that live right down there with you.
Okay, is there a motion or any other discussion on the topic at hand, 6A?
There goes nothing. I'd like to make a motion, recommend the city council the approval of agenda item 6A with an additional request that requires the city to review and amend the preliminary annexation agreement and the developer agreement to include improvements to Keller Haslett Road.
Keller Hicks.
Hicks Road, excuse me.
Okay.
And what was the last one? Improvements?
Improvements to Keller Hicks Road. Read that again, the last part, the amendment, the
Agreement and the developer agreement to include improvements to Keller Hicks Road
We say for the entire length of the project.
for the entire length of the project.
Entire length of their project.
Okay, motion is made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Did your hand go up? I didn't see it. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the education also. Very helpful. Okay, moving on. Discussion, we're going to discuss, consider an act regarding the approval of the Cross City North site and the landscape plan. And we're going to begin with our staff presentation.
Chairman and members of this board, there is a 6.25 acre tract of land that's located at Sweetgrass Boulevard, the east side of it, and south of Hazlitt Parkway. And it is going to be the home of Cross City Church. And the applicants are in the audience tonight. This particular lot is already platted, so there's no platting issues. And churches can go anywhere in any zoning district, and so we have no problem there. They have provided everything we've asked is a landscape plan and also a photometric plan. And they've worked with our staff, and they met with us several times, and they've been responsive to this, our request. One of the things that may come in the future, though, with this development is, as the site continues to develop, is potentially a right-hand turn lane in off of Hazlitt Parkway.
Okay.
Having said that, the staff is in favor of this as far as a favorable recommendation, and it is a public hearing.
Okay. Public hearing.
Public hearing.
Okay, so at this time, we typically allow the applicant to speak on behalf of their project or share any additional information that supports what you're planning to do. You don't have to. You can respond later if there's questions come up. It's totally up to you.
My name is John Mitter, and lead pastor of Cross City Church. Our central location is in Euless, Texas, and we've been there for about 120 years, so it's a long-term church. Kent Wells behind me is the campus pastor of the Alliance campus, which is the proposed site. Todd Butts, also with me, is construction manager for that project. You may be familiar with us because we also were very involved with the MCWC project, recently completed. That's a big part of the ministry that we're involved with as well. So we just want to be here to answer any questions you have. We appreciate your consideration and the hard work of the commission and all details pertaining to these items. But just wanted to put a face to a project, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, at this time, we'll open the public hearing. And is there anyone wishing to speak for or against agenda item 6B? Is there anybody online wishing to speak? And no emails? Okay. Ma'am, did you want to speak?
Laura Schlotteroff, 1195 Wild Center Way. I would much rather have a church.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, you can build a couple more, we're welcome.
You know, occasionally it is nice to hear those 4 comments. All right, anyone else wishing to speak for or against? Okay, at this time, we'll close the public hearing, recognizing nobody else came forward, and we'll move to discussion, consideration, and act.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead, Doreen.
Anybody have any questions? So there was a rendering in our packet. Is that pretty close to what your plan is to? Nice, okay. So, why don't we show that rendering?
It meets all.
Yeah, there was a. That one right there. Very nice. Was there other questions?
How many people are going to be, is your sanctuary built for? About 450?
450
Yeah.
is what it says on the site plan.
Okay.
Well, hopefully you have 3 services on Sunday someday.
But is that 450, you said?
450 is one.
With room for expansion? That's,
Right now it's made for 150 with the growth of 250.
I got you, okay, all right. So the growth is behind it.
And is the property if I get this right, to the east of this, when we looked at the pink box. Is that, is there any current designated plan for that property? Is that just open land at this point?
If you can go back, James, to that.
It may be under their ownership too. You're kind of curious, what do we know about that property? Yeah, that box to the, what would be the right of the pink?
Yeah, that's an interesting site. There's actually, I believe, a gas well that occupies a good portion of that site.
Okay.
And-
Probably undevelopable.
Yeah,
From
right
that
there, it's
standpoint.
basically right there at the corner.
Okay.
Then you go further to the east, that's where that 3 warehouses are being built, just
Right.
north of Caraway.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to recommend that the city approve the cross-city north side and landscape plan.
Okay, there's a motion to recommend approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion been second. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item 7 is an executive session. That's where we can go and speak about things in private and then come back to the regular meeting. We don't need that tonight, so we'll move past that. And there were a couple other items that we were considering discussing, and I don't believe we're going to be talking about 7A or 7B, and anything for our future meetings that we need to know about.
Yes, you'll have several things coming up.
I'm
You'll have several things coming up at, hopefully at our next meeting. A couple zoning cases. One will be for the Freeman Toyota site. That'll be coming up. There's another one for RL Carriers, which is over just east of Harmon Road, south of Westport Parkway. And there could be a couple more that are coming up that we're talking with people at this point. But you should have at least two at least one planned development and one straight zoning.
If you get a line of sight that we're going to get like 4 of these big ones hitting us, then I would probably like to reschedule the CIC special session.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just don't, we could potentially be in a 3-hour meeting, and I don't think that's good for anybody. So, yes.
I believe there was.
The mayor is now? Okay. So at this time, when we go to executive session, the commission goes in and we have a closed door meeting. It typically doesn't last long, but then when we come out of executive session, we won't be able to talk about those things that we talked about because it may impact things that we're reviewing at a future time, and they might be covered under NDAs and things like that. So there is a level of sensitivity about that. So as we go to executive session, we will adjourn, and then we will come back to regular session. But this time, I'm going to adjourn the regular meeting and move to executive session.
James, do you want to look at this while I'm gone?
go back into regular session. The time is 8:04, 8:03 PM, and the executive session has ended. So we've already talked about items in our future meetings. Sounds like we've got quite a few things that might be coming at us. Ms. White, I did say that if we see that we've got a pretty full agenda for our August meeting, that maybe we would consider moving that special session of the CIEC to a later session, later month. If we have, just 2 items, regular items, I think we can keep it. But if we start getting 3 or 4 items on our regular meeting agenda, we probably need to move. So if you could just keep that in mind as you put those meeting schedules together. Sound good? All right, super. Thank you. And with that,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
we are adjourned. The time is 8:05 PM.